where some agents are like, oh, there's headlines saying rates are easing. You can't just look at headlines because a lot of it's lagging data.
Mhm.
Just this past weekend, she said she went to this open house this past weekend, and that was February whatever 10th. You knew this past weekend,
The 12th,
okay,
11th and 12th.
the 11th and the 12th of February. You knew on the 11th and 12th, if you were keeping an eye on this every single day, that mortgage rates weren't in a great spot. They were at 6.5.
Mhm.
Okay, just a week before that, they were at 5.99. So when you're regurgitating this type of information, especially to somebody who an open house, somebody who walks in an open house, they're not watching it very closely.
They're
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 just
very
starting their
top of the
process.
funnel. They're very top of the funnel. Totally agree.
It, they walk in, they meet an agent who's saying, "Hey, mortgage rates have eased up in a big way," and then they go to lock in this week, and it's like, "Well, we're at 6.7. What are you talking about?" You've got to have really accurate information. And so that's not surprising that there's, agents out there that are lacking the knowledge that are day to day because they're getting monthly data, they're headline reading.
Well, what I found
They're not
fascinating,
keeping.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Byron. What I found fascinating there is home builder sentiment's up in spite of all of this. And the only reason it's up is because of inventory. I've seen more buyers go to new construction because one, there's nothing else out there. The builders have some sort of inventory. And then a lot of these builders, I mean, you're 6, 8, 10 months out. So they lock you in now, which I think gives people some certainty if you use their in-house lender. It's shocking to me that this is the biggest jump we've seen since 2013 in terms of the increase in the sentiment there, given what's going on in rates, because they're going to be paying a premium for those homes anyway. The better buy is always the gently used property, the resale. It's like buying a new car. So I don't know what some of these builders are thinking, to be very honest with you. I wouldn't.
It's bad data.
Yeah.
It's lagging. This sentiment isn't up to the minute of what just happened the last couple. That housing start she referenced in that video, the housing start
Hmm.
data that did come out this week. It was housing starts were supposed to be down about 2.5%. They were down 4.5%. So their sentiment might be positive on their inventory that's coming on the market, I guess, to your point, because there is no inventory and they're probably seeing more foot traffic. I think where the sentiment is open house foot traffic
Hmm.
is way up from where it was in quarter
Okay.
four. And so there's a little bit of a pop there, but housing starts are down 4.5%. That was a big number. We're not going to get future, and this is going to be this decade long issue of inventory. We're going to continue to compound that because they're going to be very cautious and conservative right now. Landowners haven't realized that they need to take the hit to help builders.
Hmm.
They don't want to take the hits. If they want to sit there and pay taxes on land, then, maybe someday they'll make up that difference. But listen, I think this is not a really good indicator of how builders actually feel. And listen, it is under 50%, under 50,
It's
which
still
means
below where they
overall
want it to be.
builders don't feel
They're
great.
like, oh, we're close. And I'm like, well, close isn't going to cut it right now. And
Yeah.
new construction doesn't do anything in my market in the greater Philadelphia area. I mean, you're going very far west or you're going, into New Jersey. There's just not a lot of that. I think this is a great example of these people are on CNBC, right? They know their financial news, and this is what they're putting out there. And the reason why I wanted to share this is that it really demonstrates how important it is to understand what's going on in the market. I wrote down 4 things I'm clear that every agent should be looking at on a daily basis or maybe multiple times a day. You talked about the MLS. I'd be opening your MLS hot sheet 3 to 4 times a day. Put it in your calendar. That's number one. See what's coming to the market because there's still going to be that ferocious demand if you got a buyer. Second,
How many times do you open Instagram? So
yeah,
it's possible to open 3, 4 times a day.
put it in your calendar, right? And it's not difficult. Mortgage rates, you got to be checking on them at least once a day, if not more. That would be the second thing. Third, I'd be looking at the financial data coming out and what the 10-year T-bill's doing because that's going to be an indicator. Because people ask you, I mean, Byron, like, hey, should we lock or should we wait? Right? That happens all the time when you got folks that are under contract. And then on top of all that, the last thing I'd be looking at, and this is maybe a weekly thing, is I'd be reading the Housing Wire weekly tracker because that gives you real-time data, what pending sales are doing, what mortgage applications are doing, what inventory is doing, and what the 10-year T-bill is doing. And that's the bare minimum that people should be looking at. But you got to be in your MLS every day, multiple times a day. You got to know what's happening with
Yeah.
rates. Because, I mean, these people are
If
reporters and they're just putting out bad data. I mean, if we did that with a client, we would get fired.
Oh, for sure. And if you don't want the paywall, just watch or listen to the hot sheet every single day because I talk about the 10-year, I talk about that housing market tracker, I talk about the 30-year fix
Mhm.
every single day. So you can grab that in a condensed way. And we do a daily download on that show too, where I just give you all of the sources and charts in a 24-hour period every single Monday through Friday because this is how often things are changing right now.
Mhm.
This is what the really knowledgeable agents are doing is they're just staying really up on it so that they can go deep in these conversations because there are day-to-day swings. Going just finishing off on what's happening with builders right now, Tom.
Mhm.
Like you mentioned earlier in the pod, where you were talking about this challenging market brings out so much opportunity. There's real opportunity with builders because they're inside sales. You know, if they've got an inside sales agent, or in-house agent, whatever you want to
Most
call it,
do.
that agent just had the easiest job in the world the last couple of years of foot traffic just pouring in to the model homes. They could just sit there behind the desk, eat a Snickers bar, and wait for somebody to slap a contract in front of them. Really, the builders could have done what you see all the gas stations and these places doing now, or not gas supermarkets rather, where they have checkout lines unattended.
Those
Okay,
things are god
Y-
awful, by the way. They're
but
horrible.
literally, some of the builders could have done that. They could have put an iPad out, fill out an offer, and just that's how crazy it was the last couple of years. Today, the builders are looking at their in-house sales agent and saying, "What are you doing on top of, just sitting here to get traffic in the door? How are you helping?" And so if you're an outside agent in a local market, going to those builders with, here are the things I can do above and beyond Zillow, Redfin, and MLS for you.
Mhm.
Here's how I can extend more eyeballs onto your development right now. Here's what I'm doing on YouTube. Here's what I'm doing on Instagram. Here's how I can benefit you on a weekly plan. Let's do a 60-day test on this. Let's see if I can if I can increase traffic onto your product.
Mhm.
Okay, go create those relationships. There's an opportunity. They're at least going to listen. They wouldn't listen 2 years ago because why would they? They're getting offers thrown at them. They're going to listen today.